And happy Sunday. It is Jennifer Britton. I'm going to let everyone in. It is our 17th day of this process. Welcome back, everyone. We've got a bunch of you. How you doing on this Sunday?
Great.
My share. Great.
Good.
It's been a good day. Yay,
Yeah.
we've got Kathy Vaughn. I was just thinking of Kathy. Thanks for joining us, Kathy, on a Sunday evening, your time. So we've got Marty, Melissa, we've got Chiek Ming already in Monday morning as well. Wow, what a global group. So it is Sunday. I brought something fun for us to work on today as just a quick Sunday warm up. Some cleaning in my office today, and I came across an interesting game I had purchased a few years ago called Lingo Bingo. It's all about business lingo. So I thought I would just pick a couple of calling cards. We won't play the whole game, but here's a couple of terms for you to think about today. Fast track. What can fast track your activity in this sprint? And of course, we're going to go for 21 minutes. And then the second one I pulled is heads up. What do you need to maybe have a heads up on this week, or give yourself a heads up on? So I'll just pull those two today as a bit of a conversation starter. Again, that comes from something called Lingo Bingo. So if you're just joining us like Yan, these are just from a game that I had sitting here in my office called Lingo Bingo. First one is fast track. So what's going to help you fast track? And second one is heads up. What do you need to take a heads up on? So today is day 17. We are going to keep going for another 4 days. Any insights people want to share before I go into today's teaching? Any insights at all, big or small? I kept going after our day yesterday, so I hit page 200 of getting the edits into the computer. I still have 300, I have 114 left. Yan, over to you.
My new book just arrived.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it just came Friday. I'm trying to figure out how to get everything loaded to Amazon and ship inventory to Amazon. So it's in the midst of all this crazy. Yeah, it's exciting.
Congratulations. How does it feel?
Oh, exciting. Thank you. Yeah.
How does it feel? Yan?
I think it's like they describe writing a book like delivering a baby. You know, you get pregnant for 9 months and deliver. It feels like you're so exhausted. You don't even feel the emotions you had before. It's like you're just, oh, it's done. It's good. It feels good. Thank you.
And it's out in the world now, right? Like I think with a lot of these things, we need to keep them moving. They may not even seem real even when we hold that book in our hands, but you've done the work, and then it's going to continue to infuse. So congratulations. I hope you're noticing that. Chiek Ming had a question. Just to look to chat, it ran too fast for my eyes to catch it. There we go. Julie's got you. Leadership unlocked. Well, congratulations and welcome back. So it is Sunday, and I really think Sundays can be a wonderful start of the week. Again, a reminder of our times this week. Tomorrow, Monday, I'm not here until 12:15. I'll be with a group until 12:15 tomorrow. So just please make that note if you're going to kick off our last week with us of this 21 for 21. And here's our teaching of the day. So it is day 17. If you are tracking along, please make sure that you grab your tracker. I haven't done my fill-in, so I'll do that today, but we are over here on day 17, a few more days to go. The other thing that I'm hosting this week, which will preempt our time here, remember Thursday, our last day, we are doing a 3 p.m. call. But this Thursday, we're launching over at the Remote Pathways podcast a special new monthly event. Some of you have joined me for our monthly community calls. Those usually happen the first and third Thursday of the month. This year in 2021 at the Remote Pathways podcast, we're actually going to be hosting a monthly planning session, third Thursday of every month. And that's going to be a full 45 minutes. And we'll be taking people through a monthly planning sprint for 45 minutes. So if you're interested, join us. We are going to have a small charge for that, $20 to join us. And that's going to go back into promotion of the podcast. So if you're interested in learning more, head on over to remotepathways.com/planning.html. And that's going to happen this Thursday. All right.
Jennifer,
Well, in the interim, here's
Jennifer.
our thinking. And Yan, was that a question statement?
Yeah. On Thursday, there's a conflict. We have the learning lab also in the afternoon.
Yes, I'm going to be doing it around it. Do not worry. I manage to do things. I
Okay,
jump in
got it.
and jump out. Yep. It's
Okay.
all good. It's all
So it's
good.
3 o'clock. Okay.
Yep. So 3 o'clock. I'll be there, be square. It's my way of like doing lots of different things. So boundaries and Parkinson's rule, very apropos, right? To that is like, what are the boundaries you're creating in your work? So our thinking today is really, how do you create those windows in your world so that things fit in? Are you putting some time windows on projects? Because otherwise, as I've been seeing with my editing, it will just leak out everywhere. So I sort of like this visual to put that framing of like, we wear multiple hats in any given day. And I'd like you today, as our theme of the day, to think about the boundaries that you want to create in your work or perhaps your life, and how we can invoke that Parkinson's rule of what again, Parkinson's rule saying tasks expand to the amount of time we give them. Again, tasks expand to the amount of time we give them. So notice this in your project work. Sometimes we think something is going to take an hour and maybe we get a bulk of it done. Other times we might say, oh, I'm not sure how much time this is going to be. And it just like ekes out everywhere. And actually, that's been a big theme I've been hearing here at our 21 for 21. I think having these time buffers helps us actually just get it done. It may not be perfect, but we at least get into the process. So you'll see a worksheet over for those that have the booster pack, getting you to think about your boundaries that are clear, and perhaps boundaries which maybe need some attention. And I'll invite you to think about it work life, and I've put an other category because that might be things like relationships or other commitments that you have that are outside of your work. So as Julie says, determining how much time a project will take is a challenge. And it's interesting you say that, Julie. I continue to do a lot of project management training with teams, virtual teams and intact teams. And we often in project management training do some work around time estimation, right? Like how much time will this task actually take? Now, it varies dramatically from task to task, but if you want some resources on it, I'd recommend just Googling the term time estimation. And there's some really interesting research in the realm of productivity around like time estimation. A lot of it, though, comes back to this simple notion of track, right? So like one thing I hope that this process is helping you with is tracking how much can you get done in things like a 21-minute burst. And it may be, if it's a task that you have no idea where you would even think of time going, bring it on one of our remaining days and actually work on it in the 21 minutes, see how far you get, and then you can really sort of take that time window out and say, okay, in 21 minutes, I got this done. So maybe for this task, I'm actually going to need 2 hours or 6 hours or what have you. That time estimation is a big thing. And I think I've heard this as a theme. I can't mark our day, but recently a couple of people were noticing, that it takes longer. So Sherry, I love that. For virtual projects, I'm actually estimating time and multiplying it by 3. I'm finding virtual projects take a lot more planning and preparation than I initially think. Absolutely, they do. So, be tracking, even just rudimentary. Maybe you multiply it by 3, by 4, by 10. I think this is a really key piece, as is that notion of like, what can you repurpose? What can you resyndicate? What can you repackage, right? Like, do we always have to be building something new? And I want to keep mentioning this 21-day sprint is an iteration. It's a repurposing and a repackaging of something I did 2 Januaries ago. I think this is a much better output because, again, it's not the first time I had the content. It's the first time I've done this in this process. But, the first time it took a lot of hours to get those worksheets and what you see is the blog posts done. And this year I took some of that old content, but also laid over new content. Like today, Boundaries and Parkinson's Rule is new, as are many, about half of it is new, half of it is old, but it still took hours. to pull together. So with that, we are going to get to our sprint. Before we do, does anyone want to use this as their accountability frame to say what they're working on and where they want to get to at the end of 21 minutes?
I'm reviewing 2 contracts and making edits on them.
Okay, that's good. Not just one contract, but 2. Melissa, what are you working on today?
I'm coming back to email newsletters. So I'm figuring out the ins and outs of that, which I know all of y'all probably have figured out, but I don't. So I'm doing some basics 101. And I wanted to say one quick thing about time, and that's part of our executive functions. And one practice that helps us become aware of the passage of time is just throughout the day to see if we can guess what time it is. And we start to get a better sense of time, and we just become more connected to time. It's a skill you can actually develop. And I think it'll also help with estimating how much time to assign to projects.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. How do we build that internal clock? And it really,
Right.
you know, it's a skill. It's a skill if you're facilitating, if you're virtually facilitating on Zoom, is absolutely critical, because once you share your screen, you can't see your timer. So sometimes people say, "How do you know your time?" And I think it's really actually been a skill that I've developed. So Melissa, can we go to like you for resources on that? I don't know how I developed it.
Yeah, it's actually, I've attended a lot of executive function trainings, and awareness of the passage of time is really the basis for getting anything done at all. We can plan, we can dream, we can start doing stuff, but if we aren't aware of the passage of time, it can all just go completely. So it's a really basic foundational skill to develop. And I still need to develop it myself. I'm not saying this as I'm the big guru, but I find it really interesting information, and I think it's helped me to respect my time a little bit better.
Fantastic. So that might be something you want to explore this week. Before, when I come back on, I'll have a copy of the weekly planner sheet. For those of you that are in a booster pack, again, like the weekly planner sheet is something that you'll want to complete this week. Do your reflections on last week, your accomplishments, and then also create a new one, whether you do it now, later in the day, or even tomorrow morning. So I'm going to get out of the way, and notice Kathy would love to receive some resources. So she's totally open for that. Melissa, yeah, thank you. Share some resources later on. So tomorrow, I'm going to do a foreshadowing of our theme for tomorrow, which is community. And I hope that we'll have a pretty robust conversation at 12:15 on just different things you've brought to our experience here. Because as a group coach, I know that it's not just about me, it's about the whole group. And I do want to, before we wind down this week, say a big thank you, because you've all helped make this a very rich 21 days as well. So with that, let us head into our sprint. Just get yourself in that mindset of whatever you need in order to get going. And I'm going to make sure I mute myself today, and we will get going with our 21 minutes. Enjoy. All right, welcome back, everyone. That is it for today's sprint. What were your accomplishments and takeaways? Let's hear from you. What was that like today on a Sunday? Did everyone get their things done? Dale, hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I have to apologize for not being around the last few days. I've just been really busy with client commitments. But you know, research, when I want, for example, as I'm now putting stuff together to do a proposal, research is something that can get, we were talking before about setting boundaries, and I realized that I need to set so many boundaries around doing research because and I think it was Melissa talking about the awareness of the passage of time. I will get lost in research. And so I need real help in setting the boundaries so that I can do my research, get my awareness and come out of it, but actually accomplish the task.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else on the call has that same issue.
Yeah.
Dale, I use the Pomodoro time. I give myself 25 minutes. I've got to, I know it's like Melissa's saying, you got to be developing the awareness of time. If I know 25 minutes, I'm going to get dinged on, I can choose to have another 25 minutes. I have to say, okay, how far did I make it? Right. So that Pomodoro clock, it really helps me, Dale.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just have a kitchen thing that you twist. It looks like an apple. I just twist it.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, well, I can do it, I suppose, with Alexa. Tell Alexa to set.
One of the things I do sometimes is I ask what is enough, because research can go on and on and on and on. And so I periodically will ask myself, what is enough? You know, is this the most important thing? Are these the most important things that I need to be looking at?
Good question. Really good question. Is this enough? Yeah.
May I ask a quick question here too? I know that Jennifer, maybe you're probably, just one question. I was evaluating a tool, and I'm wondering if you know a tool, any of you. I do coaching, and I want to have a tool where people, my clients, can, on a weekly basis, maybe even a couple of times a week, enter their journals, and then I can see, they can see. And the tools I've reviewed, they all come with their own 360 and their own stuff. I just want something that I can enter the goals and actions. I just want this to be in a way, a place people can enter. Do you know any tools that's simple like that without having to be certified to their 360 and all that complicated cards and their own terminology?
I don't know if you can even just create a Google sheet, right? Like how tell us a little bit about what way the communication is going to happen. Is it just client to you, or is it a client to a bigger source? What is the framing? Because I automatically think more group oriented, but is it just you want a client to share their journal entries with you, or have it as a baseline for themselves?
It's for sharing with me, and I also would wonder if I should make this available to the sponsor or not. I don't know, but at least it would be between the client and me, and I can make comments. They can comment back, journaling, and just that live. How does Google Sheet work in that?
I've been part of a program this year, and Dale, you feel free to add on. They had a coaching log, and so your coaching log, it was like in a, well, I don't use Google that much, but it was like basically a Word document, and every time there was like a milestone, and then you could share it with your coach, but you actually had to share it with your coach via a comment, and otherwise it was specific to you, right? Because I think we also want to look at confidentiality, but it's basically, it was very rudimentary in that it was a Word, it looked like a Word document, right? And then there was like a text box after every milestone. You would note your output or input, and then you could share that with the coach, who would then get an email and would be alerted, and they could also comment on the same document. So Dale, I see you nodding. Do you have something similar to add on to?
Yeah, I do
just
too.
a couple of things very quickly. Something like journaling, which would be the private thoughts of the client, would not be something that I would share with the executive sponsor. I tend to, like I was last week writing reports, I would tend to write a report, but before that report is delivered to the sponsor, it goes back to the client for that client to check and make sure he's entirely comfortable with what the content and with the words. And only after we have that and I have his permission, as it were, would I then send it to the sponsor? The other thing is, yeah, and in terms of the journaling, it kind of depends on if you want to make journaling an integral part of your process. If it's not, then there are times when I support clients by in a way that is as easy as possible for them, because if they've got to go find a book and it's got to become a task, then sometimes it just becomes too difficult. So I use WhatsApp. I'll just WhatsApp a reminder to them, hey, we're working on putting relationships first this week, because that would have been his action commitment. Let us see. Tell me how you're going. A sentence. He
I
comes
like the
back and I
WhatsApp,
can
but I
respond.
have to
And I
remind
just
them.
use
I
it in
don't
WhatsApp.
remember.
I just use it in WhatsApp. Now, I do not have many clients, and that's deliberate. My model is that I work with few clients deeply over a long period of time. Therefore, when it comes to reminders, I put everything in my calendar. So I am reminding myself by scheduling, email Jan, okay? And I would tend to do those emails, say, at the start of a week as a reminder. But it's not an integral part of my process. And therefore, if you wanted to, you might have to put a stronger support system in place.
Yeah, I am having a hard time remembering to remind everybody. I don't want to spend the first 5 minutes catching up. Sorry, Jennifer.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of this goes back to our philosophy as a business, our philosophy as a coach, and what is a relationship? Like, how have we defined the relationship? So for Dale, she goes deep and like few. For me, I go wide and many, right? Like that's a different business model. So, I love what Dale has said about the WhatsApp, and it's very high touch, and that's defined then in our coaching relationship. The other one resource, before I forget too, just to Dale's point about the ethics, right? Like I think so much of this, we want to be very careful with the whole ethical element of what gets shared, because we're bound by confidentiality as a professional coach. So it is not appropriate to be sharing information that has not been approved by the client. And even so, an even stronger ethical stance would be the coach is not saying anything, because it's very easy to get pulled into a lot of political games within an organization. So just be very, very careful with that. Again, I'm very like black and white. It's like if the client wants to share anything, it's up to them. I'm happy to facilitate a three-way conversation about this engagement, but all three of us have to be present in that meeting. And I'm always going to defer back to the client in terms of what they want to share. So final point on this, and then we'll go somewhere else. I would also say, there is an app, there's a platform that I wrote about in From One to Many Best Practices for Team and Group Coaching. It's called Journal Engine, and they were one of the first journaling online platforms about a decade ago. They are amazing. There is a cost to it, but it's like bank level security in terms of the journaling engine platform. And the client can opt what they keep to themselves, what they would share with a coach, what they would even share with group members if they were in a group coaching process. And so I really liked it, and you can check it out, journalengine.com. Really great stuff. And the CEO of that company is actually a professional coach. So she has thought through all these layers of ethics that can really become so problematic. And I would also say one other thing, like keep your eyes open. It's ironic because I actually deviated today from the edits of my book, because I'm going to be part of a book that's going to be published later this year called The Great Book of Journaling. And I'm writing on the planning journal, having a plan, do, track, but it's got about 50 chapters, and it's going to be a precursor to another journaling book that's coming out this year by Routledge. That's also going to be a compendium on journaling. So for those that are journaling, I think journaling has made this resurgence this year and in recent years, especially with the pandemic. How are we helping people in a structured way really become, have a space to think through things. So a bit of a sidebar. Any other comments on this? Because it's a great one. Obviously very apropos. Melissa, over to you.
So going back to this idea of time and being aware of how much time, I'm realizing that I just need to hire somebody to help me with this newsletter. Because I'm not kidding. I feel like I'm just keep reading and looking and following links. And I'm like, I'm not writing a newsletter. I haven't like defined my email list. And I think I'm wasting my time. So this 21 minutes was so valuable in me seeing where I'm wasting my time. And I just need to pry open my wallet and hire somebody to get me going.
Yeah.
So that was a biggie.
Crack it open. And that's the 21 minutes. So you see your colleagues saying, how, very good work. So we've got day 18, 19, 20, 21. We've got 4 more days of this process. And this process will be back. Do not worry, because it will be back certainly by April, maybe even before April. But what do you want to make sure you absolutely get done? Because there is no time. There is, and that's a perspective, right? But like the world is moving fast. And as businesses, I think it's really important that we keep on moving as well, because it's cash flow, right? Like what is bringing in revenue? And a big part of that is your communication, your practice, things that you charge services for, etc. So notice Melissa has put out a request. Let me know of anyone who might be good at newsletters. If you have need for any other resources, like please feel free to share, in the Facebook group. Some of you are not on Facebook, so you're over at Conversation Sparker Zone. We will be doing a longer session Thursday afternoon as we go to wrap up. Again, that's Thursday at 3. We'll probably do another 45 to maybe even 50 minutes, just to sort of wrap this up. But I've really enjoyed it, and I see you are too. So any final comments before we head off? Take a look at this. Notice Kathy's also saying, please email me, KIBeacons. I hope I can share that, Kathy, at gmail.com. Look to chat. I feel like I would know some colleagues who would be good at this. Excellent. Yeah, we've got people in our network. So think about who can help you do the work so you can do your best work, what some authors these days are calling the zone of genius, or, really to me, it's like your super strength. What's going to help you do that? All right. Well, for a Sunday, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining us. Everyone, we'll see you tomorrow. And someone else, Kathy, needs Survey Monkey expertise. So if someone is a Survey Monkey expert, reach out to Kathy, and I will see you here tomorrow. Don't forget, 12:15. Be here or be square, as we used to say.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Take care. Thanks for your time. Bye.